Malta is on paper a defensive counter-attacking civilization. Most of their main structures and unit auras provide bonuses when playing inside of your base. In the start, they have 5 villages and resource crates worth 400 food, 200 wood, 100 coin, and 100 XP. Malta have 1 explorer that can build trading posts, outposts, depots, fixed guns, and a fort. As early age 1 shipments, you have the standard 3 villages, but some others which can also be viable. One of Malta's unique civilization bonuses starts when you send your very first card. With every single card/shipment you send, all of your Maltese units receive a plus 2% hit point increase. With Malta, your H2 age-up options are similar to a lot of the other European civilizations, with the 400 wood or 200 coin and an outpost being the most popular. Once you reach H2 with Malta, you can build a 100 wood cost 1500 HP hospital, which is essentially your barracks. The hospital currently has a very high build limit and has 2.50 healing per second with a 12 range area effect. In this hospital, you can train regular crossbows and pikes. You can also train hospitalers, which are 200 resource heavy infantry/swordsmen with high melee damage and hit points and multiplies against cavalry. The hospitalers also have the passive ability to absorb damage for your other units and run faster near own and allied buildings. Next to those, you can train sentinels. They are musketeers that have a standard total resource cost and have slightly better base stats when compared to other musketeers. They are definitely not standard. They're classified as defensive musketeers in the sense that they have the passive ability that give them increased stats when next to owned or allied buildings, which goes arm in arm with the fact that they can also build outposts anywhere on the map while also receiving the 2% increase from every shipment in the entire game. As a stable, you have the Commandery. It's a 250 wood, 100 coin building with 3500 HP and kind of reminds you of the Kalanka for the Incans. The Commandery has a build limit of 4 with a default 30 range attack, which makes it the first European stable to have that. But the Commandery also allows you to garrison units inside of it. Unlike the Inca stronghold, with the Commandery, there is a channeling period before units are able to go inside, as well as a global cooldown after ejecting your units out of the Commandery. So according to other players, it's like the Incan stronghold done correctly. I wonder if Kaiserklein or other pro players think the same. On the other hand, units inside of the Commandery also do not increase the default attack of the Commandery. However, aside from being able to garrison units inside of the Commandery, one additional feature is the Commandery's unique redeploy ability. Not only are you able to garrison units in one Commandery at one part of your base, but you then also have the ability to eject them out of another Commandery from another side of your base. Other than that, the Commandery can accept shipments, but will also, as we said in the beginning, act as a stable and allow the training of Order Hussars and Order Goons, which are like standard Hussar and Goons with slightly increased base stats and a slightly increased cost. You also cannot upgrade your Hussars or your Dragoons in the Commandery for the entire game, with no upgrade feature being available. In H2, you can also build an artillery foundry, which isn't a given for every civilization. From the artillery foundry, you can train Malta's unique fire throwers. As for water, Malta's unique ship is the H2 Order Galley. They too have slightly increased stats if we compare it to the Ottoman Galley. The Order Galleys for Malta also have the passive naval promotion ability, which is the first ship to ever receive this ability in the game. The promotion ability caps at 3 ranks and allows the Order Galley to gain extra damage when getting the last hit on a defeated enemy military warship, similar to the promotion mechanic for units in Civilization 6. Starting from H2, your Explorer will increasingly be able to build more structures. One of those buildable structures in H2 is a depot. Depots will boost the attack speed of all nearby units as a passive effect, but can also be triggered through the big button to explode. They will also explode when simply destroyed. When they explode, they will cause damage to all close by buildings and units, including your own. Good thing Malta has those hospitals, right? Now that we've covered everything needing to be covered in H2, let's check out H3. Here are some of the H3 age-up options. One thing to mention about Malta is that they do not have the default option to fast age. In H3, Malta hits a power spike because they are now in fact able to build fixed guns with their Explorer. Now fixed guns have a 700 resource cost and require 7 population. They have 2250 HP alongside a 300 bombard attack with a 5 area of effect and a 6 rate of fire, hence why they're a power spike for Malta. It's worth mentioning that their age 4 upgrades give them 6 more range, and their age 5 upgrades give them 50% more damage and 50% more HP. With their main bombard attack, they only have negative multipliers and no bonus multipliers, but with their special big button long range ability, they have 300 bombard attack with now 1 area effect, but with multipliers against buildings and ships. Another great thing about the fixed gun is that it has the option of refund, meaning you can deconstruct the full HP fixed gun after you're done with it and can get 1-to-1 all of your resources refunded. The fixed guns have the artillery tag, which makes it vulnerable to culverins, but also qualifies for receiving the 2% HP increase from the shipments. One last thing to mention about the fixed gun is that it cannot attack units in too close proximity. In H3, the Maltese can standardly train cannons, and apart from previous mentioned stuff, most of their other features are quite like European civilizations. The Maltese also don't have an H3 2 Falconet shipment. The Maltese also aren't able to train skirmishers in H3 by default, but the refreshing thing about Malta is that they have specific unit shipment cards that allows them to train the multitude of units they're sending afterwards at their Commandery. Some of those units include H2 longbows, H3 cazadors, garrochista lancers, or an H4 cuirass, or even operonics and more. Some very unique cards for Malta that possess features that have never been seen before in this game include the H3 fire towers card. This card gives your towers a close range fire attack. The H2 flamethrower card, a card that turns your fire throwers into flamethrowers, or the H2 unique church card that allows the passive abilities of Malta's units to not just only work in your own base, but also in their enemy's base. Previously speaking of H4, let's check out some of Malta's H4 options. In H4, the Explorer gets a Saber Strike attack, and they receive access to powerful unit altering cards, like the rocket cards that transform your fire throwers or sentinels into rocket shooters. And also in H4, much like other civilizations, you have access to the factory. A factory for Malta will trickle resources or standardly produce heavy cannons. Your H4 revolt options are Barbary States or Hungary. Finally, moving on to H5, here are some of the H5 age up options. And that's it. Malta, ladies and gentlemen. As a summary, Malta is a fairly smaller civilization compared to its other DLC half, Italy. Malta need a lot of wood for structures like their fixed guns, commanderies, and field hospital spam, and they have an economy that works similar to other European civilizations with the new updated Spain in mind. Their military and defensive capabilities seem to be limitless, from promotional passive abilities and shipment increasing unit stats to flexible fixed guns, as well as garrisoning abilities in your military production buildings. Malta has elements and mechanics from Spain and Germany, and are great at baiting or punishing other civilizations, either with unpredictable, deadly military advances, but also with setting up defensive traps and relying on their many unique civilization bonuses. As an enemy, you often have to check the Maltese unit stats and think twice before a fight, seeing as their stats are being increased throughout the entire game and can change in seconds when fighting in a favorable position. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be uploading more of my thoughts on Malta on my AoE 3 Patreon, so check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.